Today I'm in Elberton County, Georgia, a place that prides itself as being the world capital of granite, looking at an interesting chunk of granite. Erected in 1980 and weighing nearly 240,000 pounds, this monument, called the Georgia Guidestones, is obviously designed to last. What's also obvious is that the maker of this monument not only wanted it to last, but also wanted it to be understood. And for this reason, the message that it contains is written in 8 of the most popular languages throughout the world. No matter how long a period of time has passed, no matter who comes here to see it, they're bound to be able to read one of these languages. So, who built this place? Well, it was built by a local contractor, but the person who paid for it is a bit of a mystery. Even at the time, the name he gave, R.C. Christian, was known to be a pseudonym. He came claiming to be a person representing a group of Christians of like mind who were seeking an age of reason. Well, there are a few things that you can surmise from the structure itself. This is not the work of a single person. It would require several people who had a fairly in-depth knowledge of not only modern languages, but ancient languages as well. This suggests a larger group of fairly intellectual people. It also suggests that whatever this group is, they have a lot of money to throw around, because this wasn't cheap, and it was put up in the middle of nowhere for no apparent purpose. In order to do something like this out of just whimsy or whatever, it would require a lot of money, because you're not going to throw around what little money you have. Well, I don't know who built this place, but I think I'd like to talk to them. The reason that this monument is here is that whoever designed it had something very important to say. So let's go through it real quick. You might be surprised to find that a lot of what is on this monument is actually quite agreeable, and I find myself agreeing with a lot of it. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature, leave room for nature. Setting aside the repetitive nature of this, it's not a good thing for humanity to spread across the earth in such a way that it destroys everything. And I am very much a believer that we should not only leave room for nature, but work together with it. So I'm in complete agreement with that. Prize truth, beauty, and love, seeking harmony with the infinite. So this is a person or a group that not only prizes things that we all prize and hold dear to our hearts, or at least the good amongst us, but also wishes to find themselves in harmony with the Creator. There's nothing wrong with that. Balance personal rights with social duties. Well, insofar as rights are important, and this is affirming that we do have personal rights, I agree with that. And insofar as social duties are necessary, it is necessary that you should not have the right to go and beat up on your neighbors and stuff. So that seems to be perfectly reasonable as well. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. God knows we could do well here in the United States to follow this ethical guideline a little bit more closely. Let all the nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Now this is interesting. A lot of people have said that this monument was built by some group that is proposing a new world order, that all nations should be united as one. Well, whoever is doing this is actually a nationalist and believes that nations should be able to rule themselves internally. That seems to be at odds with the idea that whoever or whatever group did this believes that we should have one world government. I don't think that that's the case. There's someone else involved here. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Who can object to fair laws and just courts? Rule passion, faith, and tradition, all things with tempered reason. The intemperate amongst us, they create the holy wars that are ravaging across our world. They create the intemperate laws that cause people to be persecuted for no reason. So this seems like an excellent principle, one that we should all follow. And finally, unite humanity with a living new language. Well, they don't propose what new language that should be. And it's obvious from this structure that they're hedging their bets. It could be any number of different languages. But it's hard to see how a living new language that unites the people of the world could be in any way a bad thing. But that's not all this monument says. Look up there. There's 2 more. Let's read through them real quick. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, and guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Let's start with the second one. That smacks of eugenics. I'm not sure I like that. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I don't. Now, it may be that all you're talking about there is encouraging different races to interbreed so we can have more hybrid vigor, so that we can have fewer genetic problems over time. That's fine. But if what you're talking about is creating some sort of master race or something, I'm not too keen on that. And then the last one, up there at the top. 500 million. That's a lot fewer than we have nowadays. Setting aside for a moment the sort of barbaric things you might do to forcibly cause the human population to fall so much, I don't think 500 million is enough. Why is that? Well, it may be that 500 million is a good number to maintain perpetual balance with nature. But the fact is that eventually we're going to have to move beyond the cradle of this world and spread out into the stars. 500 million may not be enough for that. In fact, I'm fairly sure that it isn't. You see, as we spread out, we're going to need to have enough genetic diversity so that we don't end up in these bottlenecks. It results in a lot of genetic problems. As we spread out, if we don't have enough base population to begin with, representing all of the races of this world, we may not be as successful as we'd like. Now, I don't know who'd made this. Nobody does. It could be the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, the Masons, the Oddfellows, the Goodfellows. It could be any number of different groups. Whoever you are, I agree with you. I want there to be an age of reason. And many of these principles that are outlined here are very good. Whoever did this has a great knowledge not only of global cultures, but also history, given the way that this was made, with its many astronomical alignments and such. But I think I'd like to talk to you about those last two. It may be that I'm just misunderstanding you. It may be that we are actually in complete agreement. But it may be that we're not. It may be that you're mistaken in some way. And if that's the case, reason being something that is truly beautiful, that leads us to truth through the love in our hearts, I suggest that we should sit down together and reason a little bit. Let's talk. Because if we're in agreement, I wouldn't mind working with you. But if we're not, well, perhaps I can convince you to mend your ways.